Okay, this video is going to be on troubleshooting a power window that's not working in a 2005 Pontiac Sunfire. So this is, we're not going to need a whole lot of equipment to troubleshoot this. We're going to use a multimeter. I actually created a video just recently about how to use a multimeter for checking voltages around a vehicle. And the only other thing you really will have to reference to start with is if you get one of those handy-dandy vehicle manuals for your car. That's great for showing you where the fuse panel is and basically the layout. There's schematics that show the basic wiring and that kind of thing. But we won't really even have to reference that too much, I wouldn't think, because this should be fairly straightforward. Okay, on this vehicle the fuses are under this little block. We're on our driver's side there. You see the steering wheel, this little cover here, which you just push this little tab out, that comes out. There's your fuses. Turn it over and it basically shows you the legend for what fuse is where. You turn it like that actually, and in this case, just looking this over, it has a power accessories fuse. It doesn't really mention one for a power window. I'll go back to the book and reference it if I have to, but I suspect that's kind of the one we're going to check here. These fuses are kind of difficult to get out, but that little legend I was just looking at will show you that there's a fuse puller right here. So that's that little white job. Just push that together, and theoretically, looks like the fuse puller might be just as hard to get out as the fuses. Okay, so I got the fuse puller out, which is that white item you see. Ironically, there's a set of pliers beside it, because in order to get the fuse puller out, I had to pull it out with a set of pliers. So I guess that's kind of a bad design. But anyway, here's our, we hold our little legend on the back of the cover up, and it's basically showing us the fuses in reference to where they're situated. So for instance here, there's a 25 amp, a 10 amp, and a 30 amp. So I just get my reference by doing that. There's a 25, there's a 10, there's a 30, and the accessory one that we're going to check here is this 15. So if you kind of look at that legend on the back of the little cover, you'll get reference to where you want to be. So I'm going to pull that out and we'll give that a test. So this vehicle is a 2005 Pontiac Sunfire. Got a little bit of a different fuse here. Now reference your little puller, because you're going to want to use it here. These have little grooves in them that the puller will set into. So you set the puller over like that, pull it back, you can kind of feel it hit, wiggle that fuse a bit, and there it is. And in this case, if you look at that fuse, take it out of there, you can see that little horseshoe shape. So that fuse is okay. If it was blown, that would be, you wouldn't see that connected there. Okay, so I pulled that fuse for power accessories because I didn't see anything marked power windows. Now I've got the ignition on for the accessories, and that's operating the rear window. So that's not the fuse I'm looking for. So this is a kind of a hit and miss thing here. Okay, I was so busy on this diagram looking at the smaller fuses. Right above my thumb there, you'll see it's marked 25 amp power window, which makes sense because the power windows do use a lot of current, so that it would be a bigger fuse. But actually, in this case, if we look over here, there it is right there. And in order to get that out, there's a Phillips head screw we had to take out of here. So that's out, and then we'll just kind of jiggle this part of the panel out, remove that, see if we can get that this here out. Okay, so we removed the other panel, and of course, like anything else you got to do, we had to take this one off here, but the owner of the vehicle is here with me, a buddy of mine, and he gave the go-ahead to just cut a little notch in there, because he said, and I agree, that there's no real value in having to go through any big production to get this unit out of here. So now, with that little notch cut out of there, we can get this unit out. Have a look at that. Okay, so we've got that fuse or fusible link, whatever it is, out of there. We're doing a test on a vehicle voltage here, so we're going to be looking for 12 volts or something around that. We set our meter on DC volts, this switch here. Here it's off. Turn it once, it's AC volts, the little squiggly line is for AC. Turn it again, the straight line is for DC volts. So I'm going to take my black ground lead on the meter, set it on a body ground here somewhere, and then I'm going to put the red lead the other side and see if we get a voltage reading on that one when we turn the vehicle to the accessories modes. Okay, so you can see now I got a 12 volt reading. I've got my black lead on that screw there, which is screwed into the body of the vehicle. My red lead sticking into the contact of that relay we just took out. I put it on the first lead and there was no voltage, which you would expect to see, and then there's 12 volts on that. So we know we're good to that point. And just to make sure that you're at the right point of your troubleshooting here, I'm trying the power windows again, and as you can see, the accessories key, the vehicle is turned on to accessories, but there's no life out of those power windows. So that's definitely, that relay is definitely the one where it's in the circuit we're troubleshooting. Okay, so my buddy Cliff has already gotten me, is working on this morning. So he's made this easy. He's got the panel off the door. I'm over at the passenger side door, which is the window that's not working. And he's took this connector off here, which goes, you see, right into there. I'm not going to bother pushing it back in, but anyway, that pulls out. And this is our connector to the electric motor on the vehicle. So what I'm going to do here, do you got the accessories on right now, Cliff? For
power's on.
Yeah, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my meter and I'm going to put it in those two contacts, and when we operate the power windows we should see a voltage on the meter. As you can see, there's nothing there. It's like .003. That's what you'll see on the digital meter when there's basically nothing. So I'm just going to hand this over to Cliff for a second, and if you can focus on that meter, actually, I'll just show here. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let's see, this could be a little, just 1 second here. Okay. You got anything on there?
Zeros.
Okay, so operate the window. See that? Did it go to 12 volts?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So what Cliff did was he operated the power window. You're not going to get any voltage until you actuate that circuit, which is what happens when he operates the power window. And Cliff, I don't know if you can kind of just show where I got the contacts stuck in the connector here. So I got the two contacts put in there. Cliff operates the power window, and we get 12 volts. Now, Cliff, if you want to release that button, we'll see that our voltage goes.
Done, buddy.
Okay, stop right again just for kicks. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, so we're changing the motor out here, the motor for the power window, and you gotta drill out the rivets. So you can see Cliff is drilling one of them out here now. And there's the new motor for the power window.
Pop off.
As you see, you might have to get aggressive with a couple of them rivets. This job turned out to be a bit more of a production than we expected. Here's the old motor here. You can see here's where the electrical connections are up on this end, that one connection that went into this motor. There's your gear shift for winding the motor up. We had to remove some rivets. Here's the new one Cliff has just discovered, and this is something to keep in mind here, that the this portion of it here that slides into the groove on the other end of it is actually on this new one that we got. We're just grinding it down with a mini grinder now because there was an actual groove on the existing one here for it to fit into, whereas the new one is totally flat. So that's where we're at now. Okay, so that piece that you ground down, Cliff just ground down, where you can verify from the outside if it's ground down enough. See, it's sliding through there now, whereas before it would. Okay, so there's the new motor for the power window. From previous experience doing this kind of thing, there's nothing more frustrating than being 100% sure that you found the problem and then going through a big production like, say, installing that motor, mounting it in the door and doing all that good stuff, and then finding out that even though you were sure that was the problem, you know, it could be something funky, especially with electrical problems, right? That maybe there's some kind of a relay prior to this circuit, even though we checked for 12 volts back here, that wasn't the problem. So just to make sure, took our connector here out of the door. Before I mounted this motor, I just figured, you know what, well, plug that in there. Well, I got the accessories turned on to the ignition, and I just hit the power window key. And there you go. We can see that the motor is operating. So just kind of taking a step back here and decided to do that before we finish the process of actually installing that motor. So I'll turn the accessories key off and continue on. And just a little side note before I forget too, just in case you're kind of thinking that this may be a major investment, I was surprised this motor cost us at the local auto parts dealer here, the aftermarket part, that was $40. I really would have, I thought that might be, you know, we might have been looking at something for a couple of $100 here, so those aren't quite as expensive as I would have thought. Okay, so there's certain parts of this video that we didn't really get a chance to put on here. We put that motor in as I showed. We got the upholstery back on. It's winter time in Canada, so the making of the video got kind of put to the wayside. But anyway, as you can see, we replaced that motor, and now I can move the window up and down. So kind of too bad that we were in a rush and I missed a couple of steps, but hopefully that'll be of some assistance for anyone who's running into this.